the biggest career mistake you're making is waiting for your company to invest in you. Too many designers hit pause on their growth until a boss approves a budget or HR signs off on a conference. But here's the truth. Leaders don't wait for permission. They invest in themselves first. And today I'm talking with Yao Adantor about why owning your education is the key to unlocking leadership, growth, and long-term impact as a UX professional. So stick around because this one might just change how you think about your own career. What's up, UX fam? How's your mom and them? Welcome to another episode of Beyond UX Design. I'm Jeremy. If you're new here, welcome. I am super stoked to have you. You ever ship a feature that should have never seen the light of day, or survive a sprint planning where nothing got planned? Or maybe you just said, let's circle back under your breath for the 50th time this week. Well, you, my friend, have earned a Merit-ish badge. Introducing the Beyond UX Design Merit Badges, a vintage-inspired sticker series for UX designers, PMs, and engineers who have seen things. Choose from 3 sets: soft skills, sharp tongue, Cult of Figma initiation, the Pixel Pusher survival kit, and more to come soon, so stay tuned. Each set of 5 badges celebrates the chaos, the coping, and the conference calls that should have been a DM. Stick them on your laptop, flaunt them at your stand-up, show the world you made it out of Q2 with your sanity mostly intact. Get 1 set of 5 stickers for $12 or 2 sets for $20 at beyonduxdesign.com/badges. Just promise me one thing: send pics and show me where you stick them. How often do you stare at a blank Figma canvas unsure where to start? Well, this episode is brought to you by Mobbin, the ultimate UI and UX design inspiration library. Mobbin gives you instant access to over 400,000 beautifully designed UI and user flows from apps you love, and content is added weekly, so you never have to start from scratch again. Quickly find exactly what you need, search by app category, UI patterns, and specific features. And my team and I use Mobbin all the time at work to find useful patterns, and it helps my team work much more efficiently. And honestly, I can't imagine kicking off a new feature without Mobbin. So are you ready to level up your design process? Visit mobbin.com/beyondux to get 20% off Mobbin Pro and never run out of inspiration again. And if you haven't done it already, please consider subscribing to the show wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you are regular here and you feel like you're getting something out of the show, I would really appreciate you leaving a 5-star review. That'll help me out so much more than you can imagine. And as always, thanks so much to Chris, Siraquan, Stacy, Radu, Megan, Andrew, John, Mark, Kevin, Jason, Michelle, Marty, Tino, Adina, and Zoe for all their support. And if you want to join these fine folks and many others and help keep the show independent and ad-free, you'll get exclusive access to the entire video library of episodes, including episodes before they're even released. Get instant access to those videos right now for as little as $5 a month. And for more information on how you can support the show and help more people find out about what we're doing, make sure to check out beyonduxdesign.com/support. And of course, if you think the show is worth sharing, then I would love it if you told some friends. So how often have you invested in yourself? How often have you spent actual money, hard-earned cash on your own education that wasn't, your college and your student loans that you're probably still paying off 20 years later? Well, most of us, we wait around for our boss to approve that conference or that class or that course or whatever it is, but maybe we shouldn't be waiting. Maybe we should be taking the time to invest in ourselves, because if we don't invest in ourselves, who's going to do it for us, man?
No one.
Nobody's going to do it. So I am so excited to have Yao Adantor on the show today. Yao is a seasoned UX professional and entrepreneur who's worked across Fortune 500 companies, scrappy startups, and the federal government, helping to craft products, services, and experiences that solve real problems and bring meaningful change to people. And as the founder of UXCon and User Experience University, he blends research-driven strategy with hands-on craftsmanship. An experienced instructor, Yao has taught UX courses at MICA and Johns Hopkins University. And all of his work is powered by God, his wife, and their 3 beautiful children. Yao, welcome to Beyond UX Design. How's it going, man? So happy to have you on.
Man, thank you for having me, Jeremy. Pleasure. I know we've connected through the network, and I'm sure we're going to speak about that. And just ending up here talking to you is it's an honor.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
Well, likewise. Yeah, so I am so excited to have you on. We need to talk a little bit about UXCon also before we get out here. Don't let us forget that. But yeah, man, so you've been doing this for a little while, and you've been around the block. You teach at the university level. You've also got conferences and things like that. And it's interesting. I think you've kind of seen this firsthand, the hesitation for people to invest and spend their own money
Yeah.
on their own education. They always wait for their bosses or somebody, their company, to reimburse them. But, that is probably a mistake. So we're going to dig into that today. So I know I read your bio a little bit there. Tell us a little bit more about you, and how did you come to this ultimate conclusion that people are wasting their time waiting around for someone else to pay for their own development?
There are so many places to start, but I think around this conversation is really my journey into UX, right? And through UX. I'm a guy that have a degree in psychology. And one thing I didn't want to do in school, and I don't exactly know why, is I didn't want to be maybe a therapist or something like that. I thought there were a way to use psychology in business. So in high school, I got into this program called the AP program I live in Maryland, and they had this AP program where I study industrial psychology. And I was lucky enough to keep it going through college. And that really set me up for user experience. I had no idea what user experience was. I remember in school, they would bring this guy that would tell us, first of all, our school was interesting. They brought this guy that made us believe that we were the friendliest school in the nation. And actually, that whole assembly, there are no fights at our school. It's incredible.
Really?
It's like a huge psychology thing they did on us. But the truth
That's
is,
funny.
they also told us the jobs that we were having in the future are not here yet. And it's true, right? Like user experience wasn't something I ever heard about in high school, even in college. Did this teaching program for a nonprofit at the time, and then moved to Germany to train. I was a professional athlete for a little bit, so
Oh, really?
I
Okay.
wanted to move to Germany to train. I was supposed to study sports management, and luckily it
Great
didn't
company
work
to go
out.
to.
Luckily it didn't work out, so I ended up in user experience. And when I came across UX, it was just really sitting around talking, and somebody and that drove this chain reaction into looking at, are people using psychology in different ways? Oh well, one way they're using it is user experience. I didn't look up the salaries. I just saw that it matched everything that I ever thought was possible with my psych degree. So I jumped in. And from that day, we talk about investment in your career, in yourself, or in your passions. I started investing right away. Actually, one of the first classes I ever bought was on Udemy. It was Joe Natoli, who was a keynote speaker at my conference last year. Long story short, right? Like the investment started right away. I never looked back at, I don't know, how much this costs or how was this. Nobody had money. I was a college student, just got out of college,
Yeah, dude.
any job. So it was really investing in your passion. And that's how we got here, even to this conversation, right? It's investing to go to a conference that I thought was interesting in Europe, meeting someone like Julian De La Mancha, which told me about you, where then I looked you up and then ended
Oh,
up
no.
here. So
Yeah, I
so
love Julian.
it's investment in yourself is not just, it's not a this direct feedback that you think it is. It's this seed that produces this tree that keeps on just giving throughout your career. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's true. As somebody who's, I don't want to, I'm not going to say this about myself, but thought leader, I guess, quote unquote, like going conferences and things like that seems like something I would do all the time. And yet for me personally, man, I have been to very few conferences,
Yeah.
and I also wait around until my boss or somebody else can pay for it, because who's got thousands of dollars to pay for that
That's
stuff?
right.
But, I'm guilty of this as well. And, this is not something I think that a lot of people think about as far as like investing in themselves. We think about investing in school, and, we're all fine dropping, $50,000, sometimes $100,000 on a college education. And yet when it comes to, taking a course, even $500 for like an online course or something, people are just scared to do it. And so, I'm kind of interested in your perspective here as somebody who has been on the other side of this as an educator. One of the things I think we often miss is that ROI. As UXers, we always say we need to speak
Yeah.
the business, the ROI, the return on investment.
Yeah.
We think about that as far as like features and stuff that we're building. But when it comes to ROI on our own investment in ourselves, I think we are often slow to invest. And I'm curious, just like the problems with that, the outcomes because of that. What are some things that you've actually seen as an educator that people end up seeing because they fail to invest in themselves?
Yeah. Look, first, it's hard to connect. That's one. Two, the most successful students, actually graduate students, people are older than me, right? Or my age and more. You can always tell the most successful people in a class by the way they are proactive in their lives in general. right? Oh, I'm going to this. Oh, I am going to do this. That vocabulary is the ROI. Now, the first thing I said was it's hard to connect. If you were to look at a map, if you were to put down pen and paper and you go, this is where Jeremy started his career. First person I met from high school all the way down to college and your first job, you will notice clearly that it was an investment in time. We talk about money, but really it's your time, right? We get paid hourly or yearly. We get valued in time. If you think about all that time spent writing, designing pays off, that is the education. It is not just being in a class or something you sign up for and getting a grade for. That's just something that we gotten used to. And it's hard to break out of that vocabulary. But investing in yourself or your education, it's more than just hardcore school. It's more than that. It's the experiences that you get to use to bridge the gap between hardcore knowledge that we teach, whatever it is, interviewing techniques, whatever border radius, to actually applying that in real life and how that affects people. That can only be done by connecting to others. My friend, that costs money and time. Like people organize the conferences I've been to are people organizing, putting time, getting venues, getting this and that. All that is calculated into time. And then when you come there, the power of community just really takes you over. I've never been to a conference and left disappointed. It's always been, I'm glad I came here despite the money I spent. In a classroom or whatever, which is virtually now and all these hybrid programs, you can always tell the people that already have made it or are making it by that proactive move, right? Investing in the next thing to be where people are talking or speaking, whether they want to be a leader or want to be an influencer, all of that, that's not the point. It's learning, being part of that knowledge growth community that's happening.
Yeah, it's funny. It's interesting you mentioned that because this is something like I've thought about a lot. Going like I grew up in New Orleans, which is a place where
Oh wow.
you know everybody knows everybody and like things you get things done with relationships.
Yeah.
You get things done because people know who you are,
Yeah.
and things stall when you don't know people. You know what I mean? Anyway, what's interesting down in New Orleans is they've got a lot of these like private schools,
Yeah.
mostly Catholic schools. The public school system in New Orleans is getting it's better than it was when I was a kid for sure,
Yeah.
but it's still the Catholic schools are still pretty big. And what's really interesting down there is like what I found is a lot of these schools you end up with people who go on to be successful a lot of times,
Hmm.
private school,
Hmm.
but they're not successful because their parents had money or they're not. Well, that certainly is the case sometimes.
Yeah.
But a lot of times they're successful because they knew people,
Yeah.
because they were then connected with other people, or someone's parents was important and a big wig in New Orleans, and then you made friends with their kids, and then you had this sort of network effect, I
Yeah.
guess, if you would, that then helped you to make connections and become more more successful, I guess.
That's right.
And you think about that in terms of like college, like Harvard, Princeton, right? UC Berkeley is another good example. Those people that go there aren't any smarter. Well, I guess sometimes they are, but they're not necessarily better. They're not necessarily, more likely to succeed on their own. They're more likely to succeed because they know other people from Harvard
That's
and
right.
other people from Princeton and
Access.
other people. Yeah, it's the access to those networks that
Yeah.
a lot of times you're actually paying for.
That's right.
And you could compare that, like you said, to conferences where going and learning, listening at a talk. I've actually heard so many people that talk about like how, when they go to conferences, they don't even listen to the talks. It's all really just like the networking events
Yes.
afterwards is where the beauty happens. And so it's really interesting you mentioned that. This wasn't a question. This was just sort of a commentary
Yeah.
and comparing it to that. But when thinking about education stuff, like those private schools, obviously, look, man, I'm not going to deny like certain level of access. You have to have the
Yes.
money and stuff to get in there. But those people, like I said, they're not more successful because they're any better than anybody else. I think they're often more successful because of the network that they've built over time. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. Not a specific question. I don't know if you have a comment or anything on it, but
You're
yeah.
right. You put down the right line, right? I mean, being at a conference, it's seen as education, right? It's rolled up as education. And it is because education is wherever you are and other people are sharing knowledge, common ground, and especially differences. This is where we grow the most. So investing in that is not seen, right? If you put it on the paper as, oh, I'm going to take this course and get this certificate, or I'm going to go to a conference. It seems like the certificate sounds like a better idea. Someone approved this But when you go and approve yourself into that education and you know how to speak about it, the reward is infinite of the people that you get to meet and mingle with and just, again, be around. One thing I always say, and you mentioned at the end, is I don't even listen to the talks. It's like I go to conferences, I get back on the plane, I don't remember any of the talks, but I remember everybody I met. You remember every single person you met. You probably don't remember the talks. That's true because there's a lot of information overload going on, but you remember almost every single person that I've spoken at UXCon has been someone I met through being in person at one of these things.
So we talk a little bit about like leaders, they sort of, take charge and they kind of do their own
Yeah.
thing, which, kind of leads us to this other thing people throw around a lot is like, this entrepreneurial mindset. Like, I think you could equate like leadership and entrepreneurial mindset, like go-getters, they get things done. And I've used that term a lot, but then there's also this term of entrepreneur where, a lot of times people, especially who work at big companies, they think, well, like, oh, I got this process and red tape and,
Mhm.
all this stuff. But you brought up something really interesting when we talked a few weeks ago about this idea of having that entrepreneur mindset as it relates to education and figuring out like how to, make it happen. Whether or not you have to get the money or you gotta be scrappy with it,
Yeah.
but taking that entrepreneur mindset or the entrepreneur mindset and applying it to your internal role and figuring out how to get things done. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that, like, how people could take that entrepreneur mindset and apply it to this concept of educating themselves to better themselves and not waiting for somebody to, write them a check or an expense report.
Absolutely. I think so. That vocabulary that we look for and we need to speak and understand more business folks is really hard to read about and easier when you can feel it. If you ever try to start something and failed at it, or people didn't buy, or you didn't close the deal, you understand right away what the leadership at your company feels and what they really care about. Like even the entrepreneur, I didn't really like that word because for me it related to hustling. Like you're just doing random stuff, trying to make money. It's part of it, like starting stuff and leading stuff to make money or some kind of dividends. But we all know that by the end, I mean, everyone is on this linear journey to death, to be bleak. By the end, the stuff that you remember, at least about, did you make $1 here or there doing that? Or the people, what you were with, what were you able to build, how you were able to serve people? There's a tremendous amount of joy in that. So when we talk about this mindset of creating, being a leader, the last thing I say to my kids when I drop them off at school is, we'll get to the car, we'll pray, we'll get to school, and I'll be like, be a leader today. Be a good leader. It doesn't matter. In a house is a leader. I have 3 girls. Everyone is a leader. First, leadership is about leadership of self. I think when we say that word, it scares a lot of people right away because management comes into that vocabulary, right? Or having to make people do something, be in a spotlight. Some people necessarily don't want to do that. That does not mean you're not a leader. You're probably more of a leader than being in the spotlight is a characteristic of your personality. You can happen, you can grow into it, you can learn it. But leadership is like this central thing that every single person, whether you are in a spotlight or not, can take on. And when you take that on to entrepreneurship mindset starting and then into work, into your project work, you sound different. You have a different go about you when it comes to getting stuff done. So we talked a lot. We talk a lot in the industry last 5 years about understanding business language, speaking it more. You start to see that if you try to apply in your life, whether you're doing something nonprofit, UX University is a nonprofit. UXCon is a nonprofit organization that we boost to do a lot of stuff. Even at that level, you start to understand quickly the kind of heat that maybe your boss, their leaders, the CEO of your company must be feeling when it comes to getting stuff done and providing for people. Everyone at the company is being paid. Someone has to work for it. Someone has to speak. That language translates into your work. You start taking more leadership and more ownership, whether you're just conducting research or in charge of this one little screen. When you see yourself and you start to put yourself in the mindset of the entrepreneur, the leader, it changes the way you work. It truly does.
One thing I'm hearing in there too is this bit of confidence, right? This bit about confidence. And something I think this is something I've experienced personally firsthand dealing with executives especially, right? Like a lot of times you've heard the term like executive presence probably, and I feel like a lot of times that like it feels fake and forced,
Yeah.
and it feels like you're playing the game and you're playing in the politics and stuff of it. But the benefit, the positive side of that, or the bright side, I guess you could say, of executive presence, what I think is people who exude confidence, who speak with confidence, who make people realize that like they believe the thing they're saying, they aren't questioning it themselves, they're sure we're making the right decision, we've thought about it. And it's not false confidence, it's not confidence in that I'm just full of crap and I'm confident. I'm confident because
Yeah.
I have talked with other people, I have gotten feedback, I've proven this idea out, and therefore I am confident. And that, I think, often like will set the difference between a junior designer who thinks they know what they're talking about, and the senior, higher level people who know what they're talking
Yeah.
about. And when I think about this idea of the conferences, especially, you mentioned this, like going, you feel refreshed, you feel rejuvenated, you feel confident, you feel like you've had a chance to talk about ideas, and you've gone to those networking events afterwards, and you had a couple beers, and you were talking about the right way to do, or maybe you were
Yeah.
debating with somebody about like my idea versus your idea, and you found common ground, whatever it was, but you like, maybe you had a different thought or came up with, and those things, I feel like, I don't know, what I'm hearing is, going to the conferences, things like that, those networking events afterwards, it helps build that confidence. And
Yeah.
it isn't just sitting through a talk is going to give you confidence, right?
That's right.
It's like discussing and conversing and asking questions and refining points.
That's right.
That's, to me, how you build confidence. So, again, this isn't a follow-up question. I'm just kind of making a comment.
No, it's true.
I love that.
It's true, because when you said that, I started to get this image of the way we build U.S. conference is there are many breaks in between these talks. It's one day, it's very based. So you see a lot of joy and smiles in this 5-7 minute breaks that we have in between. People are the energy in there is it's really contagious in these small breaks where people get to, you heard he said on stage? That was ridiculous, right? Like you hear conversation and people go back and forth, and it's really difficult. And I wish I can find a way to ROI it on paper. And do is hard to read and say, hey, out of one of our goals starting last year is that you come to our conference and you walk away with one tight, real good connection and 3 LinkedIn network friends that you see their posts and stuff. But you come over with one person that you can actually exchange your number with, because you're like, I connected with that person on a deeper level. That is the ROI. It was never how many tickets we sold or how much money. It was, if we can do that, we know that everything else will take care of itself. So how do we put money to that? How do we put money to connection? How do we put money to, or ROIs, whatever it is, to being able to speak to someone helping you out in time of need, or just awakening you a little bit? Those are the juicy moments.
Yeah, I love that. So that's interesting. That's like a metric. How do you measure that somehow? Is there
Well,
like a survey?
we're figuring it out. We're going to do a survey this year. Last year we said it and we didn't do a survey. This year we will. A couple of weeks out, and surveys are notorious, if you're a researcher, notorious for people not caring about them. But we really want to measure, did you make a connection here? Did you find someone alike or so different that you're like, I want to connect to that person. They think differently than I am. And the polarity between you two, or between you 3 or 4, seem to be something that I can grow from. We want to measure that this year. It's critically important. What's the point of gathering people into a community and sharing knowledge if you don't come up with anything tangible? And tangible is not like someone literally handing you a job when you walk out. The information is more important. It lasts a lifetime. Jobs will come and go, but that information and that connection is going to go on forever,
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I'm interested to see what the survey results are.
Yes.
What's interesting, thinking like things like Figma config, I know so many people that just spend the money to fly out there and get a hotel room and never even get a ticket. And UXCon, not that big yet.
Yeah.
It will be. But it's interesting like that. Those people, I think, have tapped into what we're talking about here.
That's interesting. I never heard that. That's really interesting.
I know a lot of people that do that, because they sell out and you can't get a ticket, but people will go and they'll hang out. And, it's like South by Southwest. Like people go to Austin, they never go to the conference. They go there for like the shows and things like that. So anyway, my old band, we used to drive from New Orleans to Austin just to play shows, but we were never officially
That's
part of South by
incredible.
Southwest. But anyway, yeah, people do that with config and stuff, and I think they're tapping into a lot of the things that we're talking about here, where they're picking up that value of spending $1,000 to fly to San Francisco and get a hotel room or sleep on someone's couch,
Yes.
or the floor, hopefully not the side of the street. But sleeping somewhere for a few days, they've tapped into that value is not the talk. The value is not having a ticket and getting in and having a chair. It's mingling.
Yeah.
It's all that other stuff. So it's really interesting. People have tapped into that. I wonder if
Yeah.
anybody's actually like kind of call that out. But something that you mentioned a little bit ago, I want to circle back to this.
Yeah.
You mentioned this holistic view of education, and investing in yourself is investing in community and things like that. Like, how do you connect that idea of education to that bigger picture of life and your career and everything else? How, personally, I know it's like probably a personal answer. Everybody's going to be different.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious, like Yao, how does Yao do that? How do you do that?
Education is, I guess, even the definition of the word, right? It's so different now. I educate myself by, you turn on the YouTube, you put in, how do I play this song? And there's someone teaching you every step. That's education. Where in the past, maybe you had to sign up for a class or just Hendrix, right? Listening to the recording and trying to play through. You have someone literally walking you through. That is an archaic definition, a step-by-step follow me definition. And then you have education, such as we grow into K through 12 and you start to kind of dive into deeper things. You go to college and it is this world of everyone is melding with these ideas and learning, trying to go somewhere. You educating yourself more. You come from this education, what's 1+1? We give you all the facts as children. We try to do a lot of stuff with them, play sports, do this. Then you have a little deeper world. And then you get into your career where that definition gets really buzzy, right? You're too busy now, maybe to take an extra class or to get even another degree just because you like it. Now, your education in life has started. It started a long time ago, but now the applicative side has started. And it becomes that self-definition that you just talked about. Now you start to define education for yourself. Education for yourself may be picking up an instrument and playing at a gig or going to an open mic. Maybe that's education because you learn how to perform every time. It can be showing up at a conference that you don't even listen to the talk, but you go to all of the happy hours and the party to connect with people. You're learning something about how to be. In the end, for me, education has, and what I'm defining, and this will change if you ask me this 6 months from now, a year from now, it's really learning how to communicate your intent. This is the base of all good business, all good entrepreneurship, product, whatever it is. If I can explain to you something that I'm trying to service in your life, and if you can understand that, communicate it properly, you're likely to buy into it. So when I'm educating myself now, it's really on even playing music or teaching, learning, building a conference, working with people at work. What is this individual? What is this person? What is this group trying to say? How are they communicating? How am I communicating to them? Do I have the right intent? When I walk outside of my house, I got into an interesting conversation a few weeks ago with a tailor, and they're talking about, I come from a country where like a lot of men are tailors. Like people do a lot of custom clothes. So talking to a cousin back home, and they're talking about styling this, and even getting dressed and walking outside is a way of communicating. So for me, lately, education has become, how do I learn? How do I find out ways that people are communicating? What is communication? We just talked about the way you talk, the way you present yourself, the way you invest in yourself is the way you communicate your value when you're at an interview or you're asking for a raise. What have you done? What are you doing that is telling this organization that you're bringing value into it? Until you try to do something yourself, whether you're leading people or you try to start a podcast and having people subscribe, and it's just not moving. And people are asking you questions. You're like, I thought this was going to work. That is education. So from facts, a little bit of things getting deeper and grayer and more sophisticated in college through younger adult life where things get gray, you have to define education yourself. And this is where, whether we started, whether those two people started at a really high end school or a public school or whatever it is, when you start to define education yourself with your values, this is when the difference maker happens. Whether you're being a leader or you wanted to really progress in your life, that's where it starts happening. So how are we doing that as a community? And when we niche it down to UX, a lot of things break out, right? Like from the huge conferences and then the meetups that are just kind of shutting down, people are burning out because there's not a lot of engagement, to what we trying to do now. So it affects every part of your life. I know we speak in user experience and all of this tech talk, but when you get to that level where you have to define it, you have to keep growing, keep learning, forcing yourself to learn, even though you don't have to. This is when the magic starts to happen for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. So you're thinking about community and stuff. And part of what you said I really love is, you're educating yourself, not just for yourself, but to bring people up around you.
Yeah.
And so it makes me think about, like fulfillment and being fulfilled and, filling your cup so you can fill other people's cup and things like that. So talk to me about that a little bit. Like, why do you think that personal energy fulfillment is part of this conversation around education for you? And I think a lot of people, it's not. It's just like, I need to learn more stuff so I can fill my head with more stuff, but it's not really, it's more of a selfish thing. But for you, it's more of a community-driven, philanthropic almost kind of way that you're approaching it.
I mean, that's where my story or my story, right? Like, there, for whatever reasons, there's a bunch of things that maybe you can pull together to say, this is why this person does this thing. Probably a bunch of things that I don't even realize. But to be of service, one of the greatest moments last year was being able to find the person to give the Lifetime Education Award to. That being Joe Natoli, who actually Maryland, and to be the keynote. That was a magic moment for me. He's the first face I ever seen on a screen teaching UX. To be able to honor that person in service by saying, hey, what you've done didn't just affect me, it affected my family. I'm able to make a living out of user experience, for my family, kids stuff, and everything else. That is not just you. Like, it can't be just you. Every dollar you make or spend or generate a range of people's desires, whether you like it or not. So it's hyper connected. It's very, very much connected in that way. So for me, it's community, education, if more of the right things. Now, there's a lot of knowing to be happening. This frontal cortex, you can just use it all day long and know in fact. You know a lot of the right things and you don't know how to use them, it's also useless. If you know just a little bit and you use it for maximum gain, life-changing across a spectrum of people, friends, work, everybody benefits from you growing.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that. That's like, you hear the term a lot, fill your cup up before you can fill other people's cup up. Yeah. And I think that applies so much to this idea of education. Like, how do you get to do these things with your family if you haven't gone out of your way to make an effort and do it yourself and not wait around for someone else to do it for you?
That's right.
But beyond that, like UX conference, right? You wouldn't be able to do this without educating yourself in some way, either going to conferences or trying. I have to imagine you tried multiple things before this, and I imagine a lot of things failed.
Yeah.
Failure is education, not being afraid to fail. So anyway, just like give kudos to that, because I feel like that's such a powerful thing to think about, is like education here is not necessarily just about filling your head with a bunch of crap, but thinking about it in terms of, I'm getting better so I can help the community around me and bring everyone up along with me. Tide rises all ships. I love that. So something I want to talk about a little bit is, as a dad, you're a dad. I'm a dad. I got 2 kids. You got 3 girls. I can't imagine 3. I got 2 boys, and they're going to be the death of me. I didn't have all this gray hair before I had kids, dude.
So, that works out.
There you go. Well, either way, you go gray, you go bald, or maybe sometimes both. But having kids, this is something, I think about, like the cost of education. Often we think about money, but there's the time, there's the, the opportunity cost. What could you be doing if you're not doing this, right? And so as a dad and husband of 2 kids, for me, saying I'm going to go drop, not even, let's say it's free. You can give me tickets for free. I have to go for 3 days to this conference, leave my wife at home with 2 kids. That's a hard sell.
Yes.
So I'm curious, like people out there who have, a family that are maybe thinking like, the money isn't the issue. It's really just like me trying to convince my wife, like what I need instead of an expense report, I need like some my wife or like something for that, like have her approve this, you know what I mean? But anyway, I'm curious, like what are some things, have you thought about that? I'm sure you have as a dad of 3 and a husband. How do you justify that when it's not even about the money, it's about the time?
It's so tough. I don't think, and when you talk to folks with kids that are older, their minds are all really young, all under 5, right? You have to be there, right? My coach once told me, once you have kids, like it goes from you to being about them. So everything is in relation to them. So when I think about starting a conference or we're doing something, my children are often there listening and watching, they know about the conference. I got them little shirts. They're starting to understand that you gather people and you do things for people, and you take all of that I need away from yourself to what do we need? We go education. We talk about education and people with families. Going grocery shopping together is an education trip. I know it's super annoying with younger kids to go grocery shopping together and all of that stuff. And when we think about the conference, we're like, even with the complimentary tickets that our sponsor was able to help us share this year, there's so many responsibilities. It's okay, how do we pick the right day? Okay, maybe if we pick a Thursday, we think the person will take the Friday off and maybe take some time with their Maryland is beautiful in the fall. Maybe take some time with their families in October if they can afford it. Okay, so that makes this thing maybe more of a regional thing. So we know people can drive and take that time. It is super complex. But at the root of it all lies this term of sacrifice. When you do leave home to go accomplish something as a parent, man or woman or whatever it is, you are sacrificing, you are valuing their time. Because, as you say, that time at a conference or at a meetup, you can be spending with them. Why are you there? If you can improve, if you can bring back home, announce more of joy, everyone, and when you hit your family, you come in contact with them and everyone just kind of merge together, that implodes. It just becomes more. So you're doing the math on, man, okay, I have to go out and spend a few days, even traveling for work. What am I really going to do out here? Is it necessary? Is it necessary for me? Because if I can do something here, if I can unlock maybe this what call it block, design block or researcher's block, everyone is going. So there's an element of sacrifice across the board. You're sacrificing for yourself, that time hanging out, you sacrificing for your family. Essentially, as a parent, pulling a little bit of time, right, and putting into that sacrifice jar so something can come out of it. So whoever you meet 10 years from now, say something that helps your child. That would have never happened. There's just so many unknown threads. Every time you meet someone, it starts like multi-universe in the back that you have no idea what's going on, and that gives out. So there's a second of measuring the necessity of this for me. What is this going to bring to me, to us, our sacrifice, and this common sacrifice element that goes into it? It's very difficult. No easy way to leave your family to go do anything, especially when your children are young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard, man. I mean, maybe get my wife to listen to this episode here. But honestly, I mean, like, we both make, she goes out of town for work. I go out of town for work.
Yeah.
We got to, like, you want to have date or dinner with your friends, go grab some beers with my friends and stuff. So doing that kind of stuff. I think it's just more of like I think it's hard, though. I don't have an answer because every relationship's different. It's hard. Like, I put you on the spot because I don't know how you even answer that from a global perspective.
It's tough.
Like, everybody listening. But I think it's one of those things, again, I think about like opportunity costs, like I've got a podcast, right? So my target audience is ripe for a conference, right? So if I go to Config, I'm able to take some stickers and some merch or whatever and some swag and leave it and give people stickers or shirts or whatever it is and advertise. And there's an opportunity cost there. Like, if I don't go, how many people don't listen, or people would I meet, like what guests I never come across that I hadn't met at that after party or whatever. Meanwhile, my wife's like sitting at home with two kids screaming and yelling, fighting, bloody murder. And I'm like, hey, I'm hanging out at this bar with these really, so it's like, it's, I don't know. It's certainly true, but at the same time, it's a hard sell sometimes.
I mean, there are a few things that one, having the right partner, essential. We can have talks about finding the right partner for you. Two, one thing I didn't talk about, which is tremendously important, is living as an example to your children. There is no doubt that if I didn't grow up in a community with examples of people doing stuff, I'd be trying to do stuff today. When they see you leave the house and you go, dad is going to a conference, mom is going to a conference, business, what do you do at a business trip? My children ask a lot of questions. I'm doing this and that for that. Education is so tremendous for them because you are the biggest example in their lives. They're essentially going to follow your path. So if you don't do it, and when you started mentioning that, I'm like, yeah, they're watching you more than you know. If you don't do it, they also don't do it. They also don't have the courage and the fortitude to go, okay, I'm going to leave for a few days. That's going to be stressful. how do we deal with it? Over the last weekend, I played a festival the last weekend, and my wife was with 3 kids coming down. They were near the stage. And at one point I was playing, I turned and looked at her. I'm like, gosh, that's a lot of work, but they were enjoying it. And they won't have stage fright when they're older because we bring them around this kind of stuff. So the intangibles are so complex, but giving.
Yeah, it's definitely, you make a good point about finding the right partner. My wife is extremely, not forgiving is the wrong word, extremely, not even what's the right word? Like open to me doing these types of
Yes.
things. So I'm very lucky. But, yeah, it's interesting, finding the right partner as it relates like, education or sorry, being an entrepreneur when if you
Yeah.
were to start a company, like that's a huge thing too. So
Yeah.
many people like find the wrong partner or business partner and they
Yeah.
think being an entrepreneur is like awful, and it's because they started a business with the wrong
That's right.
people, you know what I mean?
That's
So
right.
anyway, that idea of finding a partner I think is
Yeah.
a good universal
That's right.
truly
Yeah.
partner, friends, I think even
Yes.
friends, but I would consider them partners as
Yes.
well, bandmates and all that
Yes.
stuff. You play
Exactly.
music, but you know how that goes.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right, man, so this is awesome. So I want to, like, we've been talking for a little bit. We got to get you out of here, get you to work.
Yeah, man.
We got some questions.
Yeah.
I got some questions I like to ask all my guests to help my listeners get to know our guests a little bit better. But before we get out of here, I want to talk a little bit, just anything we didn't get a chance to talk about.
Yeah.
Anything as it relates to education that you think is just so really important we need to touch on before we get out of here.
Man, really nothing. You have to take the chance. I remember starting my first big US gig, and I was so blessed just to have a budget. But I blew past that budget and I didn't look past it. As soon as I got confirmation that I can do something, it didn't matter. The money that I was saving and keeping an account to what I'm doing now, it's the only reason why I can do these things because I was able to step out of the box early on. So it's an extremely difficult time globally for everyone economically. Things are getting more expensive and wages are barely keeping up and everything else people are complaining about, life in general. It is my response to that is push harder. It's the only response. You're always thinking about it, you always stress, you always have some anxiety about life where I can go forward because at the end, like I'm talking about, that sometimes the joyous end is to living old and getting to die, like peacefully.
That's very, very
Right?
deep.
Yeah. On that journey, how else are you going to spend it? You necessarily don't have to spend at UX Con, but you have to do something. You have to do something, whether it's your career, whether it's doing something that scares you a bit. Things equal out themselves how the universe meant them to. So it ends up being okay. So take that chance, right? Especially in tough times. Let's be proactive as a community. Whenever I get on LinkedIn, I see all these stories of people maybe getting laid off. Maybe the last 18 months was heavier or 24 months and all that. It was a bit of despair. So that even got me to switch into a nonprofit and go, okay, well, this is what it's telling me. This is what the market is saying, that you need to help more to sustain the career, not only to the people that are in and that will retire in it, but if we don't support the bottom, they don't grow. None of that, essentially. So, anyways, man, this is a great conversation, and we can have it for hours. But yeah, we can do it together for sure.
I love it. All right, awesome. So you mentioned UXCon. Before we get in these questions, let
Yeah.
everybody know a little bit about UXCon, what's going on, what's happening out there, and give the conference a plug, man.
Oh man, UXCon is a tremendous gathering of the right people at the right time every year in Silver Spring, Maryland. And we built this conference not to come here and push more facts into your head to what are you going to have to go do at work and this and that, but we build as a community gathering event. It's built around inspiration, connection, and connecting with people in the field, people coming outside. Last year, my parents were there and they're civil engineers, so they loved it, right? Like connecting, we build tools for them, right? Like you build for people outside of your job. They're out. So our conference is really built around this theme of inspiration and connection, bringing people together. And when you come, you are sure to leave with one really tight connection and in a broader group of people that you're starting to build this work family, this journey along your career where it can be said, but go check it out. We're inviting you. If you are in a difficult time, contact us. We have complimentary tickets. In fact, that great question was able to sponsor us this year. We can do that. We can feed into the community, and make sure that we're doing right by everyone. We invite UXCon. Come join us October 9th, 2025. Jeremy's going to be speaking there and hosting a panel. I'm excited for that. People love the panels, by the way. The panels were like the most popular things last year.
I love that. I'm hoping to turn it into kind of like an extended Beyond UX episode.
That's what I'm hoping for too.
It's going to be fun, man. I'm going to put as much effort and prep into that panel as I do every episode. No, I'm kidding. No, you guys deserve better than that. I'm kidding. All right, yeah. Well, this has been awesome, man. Check out UX. What was the URL again? UXCon?
It's a UXconference.org.
Check it out. Get your tickets. And I think do I have some tickets I got to give away?
You do.
Yeah, I got some tickets I got to give away. So we'll have to come up with a good giveaway for this. I don't know. I'll think about that. Actually, let's see. You listened all the way till now. Actually, listen to the end. Listen all the way to the end. There's a secret word we're going to say. And how many did I get?
I like that. You have 10, actually, but hey, it can go up, right? People are howling for it.
The first 10 people to email me with that secret word at the end of the episode is going to get a free ticket to UXCon. It is on site, though, which is great. This is going to be the first conference that I have been to in person since COVID.
I'm excited.
So I'm really excited to do that, and a little nervous, to be honest, because I haven't spoken at a conference in person like this.
It's the right place to do it. People are very welcoming.
Yeah, right on, man. All right, dude. So like I said, I've got a few questions I'd like to ask all my guests to help our listeners get to know our guests a little bit better. Are you ready? First thing that comes to your mind. You don't have to think too hard about it. You ready to do this?
Let's do it.
All right. First up, what is your favorite non-design book?
Ooh. Oh, man. That's a stumper.
It's a tough one.
Emmett Fox, The Power of Thinking, or Positive Thinking by Emmett Fox.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I've read
The Power of Constructive Thinking, Emmett Fox. Yes.
I love it. Awesome, man. All right. Good read. What's it about? I mean, obviously about constructive thinking.
Constructive thinking it's definitely spiritual, but he makes some great points there about life. You can use it for anything if you're in the right mindset, obviously.
I love it. Yeah. That's awesome, man. Check it out. All right. Next up, what is your favorite non-design podcast?
Oh, man, honest, I don't do many podcasts. My attention span, I do a lot. I do a lot of Audible, but I'm listening to music most of the time. Like if I'm training and stuff like that, I'm gonna say I have no idea because I haven't listened to a podcast in years, literally, like a non-design podcast. I'm probably listening to music. So yeah.
Right on, man. I love that. Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about your band, dude. You play music?
Play some blues, man.
Oh, I fucking love that, dude. I love that. I'm from New Orleans, man. So tell us about your band. I want to know. Do you guys have recorded, or y'all just do like a jam, like covers and stuff, or do you guys do?
I mean, I write a lot of stuff too, but we just play blues. We play old, hill country blues and like old blues, Muddy Water, Sun House, that kind of blues. Yeah, do a show here and there, and we have fun with it. There's a big community in the Baltimore area with the blues, open jams, and that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's fun.
Can we do a jam night when we're there?
Do it.
I play drums, dude. So
you gotta go.
Is there anywhere to go like that has like a house kit?
If it's actually a first or third Wednesdays, there's a place called the Polish Home Club in Baltimore that does a jam. It's one of those nights.
Polish Home Club does blues jam. Okay.
Hey, it's like it sounds. As wild as it sounds.
I love that, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right on, dude. Oh man, so my old band. I had a bunch of bands, but one of my old bands back in college was called Torn and Frayed, and it was like an old blues rock band.
Oh, that's cool.
And we did like just bluesy kind of. We would do covers, but we did a bunch of originals as well.
Oh, very nice.
But this was all like before social media and stuff. I don't have videos, any of that stuff. We had one CD and. It was just before Spotify even. Like, none of it's on Spotify. We had a CD that, like, I don't even know where the CD is.
Isn't music an incredible communication experience? Because you never, right? Like, I started playing music not too long ago. But just the fact that musicians exist. I mean, once you get into, like, musicians, you get to know them, you're like, this is wild. Like, the fact that you can communicate with instruments.
Dude, yeah. Like, I played a lot of, like, back in, like, I don't want to say I was very good. I was terrible at it. But jazz, like a lot of jazz bands and things like that. And back in the day I would play. And yeah, like just like kind of listening, you kind of feel it and you're looking at each other and you're like talking without talking and you're all on like and you're jamming. But
that's right.
There's no set song. You're just kind of all playing whatever, but it all just works. Yeah, there's this silent communication with musicians. Yeah. It's amazing.
It's awesome.
All right, next up, what is your favorite meal?
Ooh, I would say right now, cabbage and catfish. Weird combination. I don't know if people
like smothered cabbage, like fried catfish.
Yeah,
like
fried catfish
cooked.
Fried catfish.
Oh yeah, dude, that's not weird.
Fried catfish.
I mean, I'm from like the South.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
smothered cabbage.
I've been doing some catfish and cabbage, so just a nice pairing.
Yeah, dude, I love
Yeah.
that. So we moved from New Orleans, up to the Midwest, like
Yeah.
Ohio, Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area.
Yeah.
And they don't do fried catfish up here, man.
Yeah.
It's like everything is like beer battered cod, which is like not bad, but it's not like crispy, cornmeal breaded
Man,
catfish.
that
You know what I mean?
that
It's just not
food
the
in New
same.
Orleans is very good, man. Every time I get
Yeah.
around that flavor, it's delicious.
Yeah. Oh man, I love good fried catfish. All right, next up, what's your favorite vacation spot?
Ooh, Marrakesh, Morocco. So I met my wife.
All right,
Yeah.
Morocco. I would love to go to Morocco. I've
It's
never
very
been, dude,
nice.
but I hear it's beautiful.
Beautiful, all that.
Yeah. Ooh,
Yeah.
I love that, dude. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
right there, like right across too. You like hop over to Spain real quick.
That's right.
Beautiful beaches and stuff.
That's
Man,
right.
Amazing. All right, last question. What is your favorite design tool that is not Figma?
Ooh, so that's not Figma. I'm gonna say PowerPoint. There's a lot you can do with PowerPoint. Communicate.
Yeah, dude.
Communicate with PowerPoint. No,
love
it's you don't need to do too much. But you know what? Actually, I'm gonna retract that answer. Now I'm gonna
All right,
add
think
to it. I'm
about
gonna
think
add to
about
it. There's an app called VLLO that I do editing on, like on
Okay.
my phone. It's incredible. It's a great
right.
design app.
What is it called? VLLO. How do you
Just-
pronounce it?
I have
Volo,
no
volo?
idea.
No, you just make up your own vowel.
Yeah, no
Alright.
idea, but you can just like
Hello?
how much you can do on a phone as far as video editing is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great
That's
design
awesome,
app.
man. I haven't heard of that one before. I have to check it
Yeah.
out. All right. Yeah, this has been awesome. Amazing conversation. I had such a blast talking to you today. This has been really fun. Before we get out here, one more time, all your URLs, everything, let everybody know where they can find you, and we can get you out of here. Man.
Absolutely. It's conference.org. It's the main place that we're on right now. But if you're on LinkedIn, we're on UX University, UXCon. You can find us. My name is Yao Adantor. So obviously you can find me very easily, but we're very easy, very simple to find. Just reach out to us in any way you can, and talk to us about your project or your partnership or whatever it is.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, this has been a lot of fun. Yao, don't forget to check us out. We're going to be releasing this September 18th. That's the day this should be coming out.
All right, cool.
October. What's the dates again of the conference?
October 9, 2025, from
October
9 to 5, and then
9
a
to
happy
5.
hour after. That's going
Yeah,
to be
you're right.
nice.
That's it. So, if you can't make the conference,
That's
you can get a ticket for free by listening to the end. Let's see. What is that secret word? Let's do blues. Blues will be the secret word. All right. So you email me blues with whatever subject you want. I don't care. First 10 people that email me with the word blues in the subject or even anywhere in the body, check us out. BeyondUXDesign.com. There's a contact form, or hello@BeyondUXDesign.com. Shoot me an email. You get yourself some free tickets if you can make it out October 8th.
October 9th, the Thursday. Yeah, Thursday.
October
Yeah,
9th, that's
yeah.
right. I did book the flight. I think I booked the flights for the right time. October 9th, Silver Springs, Maryland, right outside of D.C. Come hang out. It's going to be a dang old hoot. Yao, thanks so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeremy, for having me. Appreciate it.